There's this generation raised in a world that feels, well, almost alien to us today. We're going to dig into why a certain group of people seems to be wired just a little bit differently.
All right, let me ask you something. When something breaks, say a leaky faucet or a wobbly chair, what's your first instinct? Do you immediately think, right, where are my tools? Long before you'd ever dream of calling for help or just buying a new one? If that sounds like you, then yeah, you're going to want to stick around. This is for you.
And hey, if any of this rings a bell, like you remember when MTV actually played music videos? Or you can nail a parallel park without a single backup camera. And what about this one? If the phrase "be home before dark" was basically the theme song to your entire summer, well then you're definitely in the right place.
Okay, so where does all this come from? It really starts with what you could call the unsupervised childhood. And look, this wasn't about neglect or anything like that, it was just normal. The whole world was kind of built around one simple but really powerful instruction.
And this was it. This was the command. Every single morning, especially in the summer, you'd get kicked out the door with those words. It was basically a permission slip for a full day of totally unscripted, unplanned adventure.
But think about what wasn't there. That's what's so wild. There was no digital leash, right? No cell phone for check-ins, no GPS tracker in your pocket. You and your friends would literally just disappear, vanish into the neighborhood for hours at a time, completely and totally off the grid.
In that kind of environment, it built something absolutely crucial. Real, genuine independence. This wasn't something you learned in a book. It was a skill that was forged in the real world. You got lost, you figured out how to get home. How to fight with a friend, you sorted it out yourselves. You ran into a problem, you solved it. There was no one swooping in to intervene.
Now that independence was fueled by something else, another key ingredient in this whole psychological recipe. And it's one that sounds kind of crazy today, the gift of boredom.
And the reason for it was pretty simple. You just had these huge chunks of time with absolutely nothing to do. No phone to endlessly scroll, no Netflix with a bottomless library of shows. It was just you, the room you were in, and all this empty time just stretching out in front of you.
But the effect of that empty time was huge. It was like a boot camp for your imagination. It forced you to be resourceful. You had to invent your own entertainment, build your own worlds, make your own fun. And that's a creative muscle that, let's be honest, you're just not going to build by following a step-by-step YouTube tutorial.
So what did you get? Just pure, raw creativity. With no prepackaged entertainment, the most basic stuff became the building blocks for entire universes. You built worlds out of sticks and cardboard, Old blankets, a couple of chairs, that was all you needed for this incredibly active imagination to just take off.
Okay, so this leads us right into the next big trait, which is a really unique kind of resilience. And it wasn't built from a bunch of "you can do it" pep talks. Nope, it was built from something way more tangible.
You got to remember, a lot of the parents from this time had been through some serious hardship themselves, so they weren't always focused on validating your feelings. They were focused on practicality, on just getting things done. So instead of a lot of emotional coaching, what they give you? Chores, duties, real responsibilities.
And what that meant was that failure just became a normal part of the day. It wasn't some huge traumatic event. You'd fall off your bike, you'd get back on. You'd get rejected for a team, you'd move on. It was just this constant, low-stakes cycle of try, fail, learn, repeat. And let's just put it out there were no participation trophies, period. You learned pretty quick that just showing up wasn't enough. The goal was to actually try, to maybe succeed, and for sure to learn when you didn't. Your effort mattered a whole lot more than your comfort.
So this is where that classic calm under pressure thing comes from. That ability to stay steady when everything's going sideways. It's not magic. It's really just psychological muscle memory. It was built up over years and years of having to handle little crises all by yourself.
All right, now we get to what makes this generation truly, and I mean truly, unique in all of human history. They are the bridge. The one generation with a deep, lived-in understanding of two completely different worlds. Think about it. On one side, you've got the analog world. We're talking rotary phones, writing actual letters and waiting for a reply, a world where patience wasn't a virtue, it was a necessity. And on the other side, the digital world. Smartphones, internet everywhere, instant gratification. This generation, they're fluent in both. And having a foot in both of those worlds gives you something incredibly rare, and that is
perspective. And it's not just, oh, the good old days. It's a real wisdom that comes from actually remembering what life was like before a screen was always in your hand. It's a deep-down understanding that not everything has to happen right this second.
So, what's the bottom line here? What does all this add up to? It really boils down to one single, core idea about this entire way of growing up.
And here it is, the central idea. Your childhood wasn't easier, it was just honest. It wasn't necessarily better, and yeah, in a lot of ways it was probably harder, but it showed you the world without a whole lot of filters.
Or to put it another way, life just didn't come with training wheels. You learned to ride the bike by, well, falling off the bike. And that raw, unfiltered experience is exactly what shaped everything: your independence, your resourcefulness, your resilience. That right there, that made all the difference.
So I want to leave you with this final thought. And it doesn't matter if this describes your childhood or not. Just ask yourself this. What's one skill, one single thing your childhood taught you how to do without ever Googling the answer? Really think about that.